So let's begin. So today I'm going to teach you show you how you can increase your sales and grow your business through the online world. Topics that are being covered today will include, we're going to talk about your website. We're going to talk about this elusive SEO or search engine optimization. We're going to talk about how your business is listed across the web. Content writing, blogging. You know, a lot of us have a challenge with trying to blog. We know we should be doing it. We know we should be doing video, but we just don't have a ton of time to do it. We'll talk a little bit about that and the importance of it. How to convert visitors into prospects, and how to know if your marketing is working or not, because that's really important. And then I'm going to share a case study with you, and it's not about us, it's more about how you can create a case study of your own. So when you're pitching to prospects and things like that, they're going to go, oh, wow, okay. Oh, I see you do know what you're doing, okay. And then at the end, we'll have a little Q&A. If you have questions along the way, either raise your hand or put something in the chat box and message me, and I'll try to address it as we go along. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, so I just want to kind of get to it. Is everybody ready to go? Got your driving glasses on? All right, here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, so first thing, let's talk about your website first. Notice I'm not talking about a desktop website. Why am I not talking about a desktop website? Although it's important, what's more important is a mobile-friendly website. Why? Because more than 50% of first visits to your website are on a mobile device. And you know it as well as I do. You're sitting on the sofa, your wife's trying to get your attention, or your husband's trying to get your attention, and you're sitting on your mobile. Come on, really? Everybody lives on their mobile. You go in the bathroom, you're at the airport, we're just attached to our mobile devices, so it's really important that your website's mobile-friendly. So when you do, if you do refresh your website, make sure that you take a mobile-first approach. In other words, everything should be about the mobile, and then you scale it backwards to your desktop. Typically, when people build websites today, they go desktop down to mobile. Wrong. Go mobile first, because it's all about load speed. Okay? So mobile-first approach. You can streamline the experience across devices, so make sure that it works in portrait mode, which is up and down, and landscape sideways, and make sure it also works on a tablet too, because tablets are really considered mobile devices, because typically people can't take their desktops with them. It is a positive ranking signal for search engines. What does that mean? So Google, along with other search engines, look at mobile friendliness of a website and how mobile friendly it is. And that is one of the more than 200 ranking signals that Google uses to determine relevancy and determine whether they're going to put you up in the search results or down in the search results. I can guarantee you, if you're not mobile friendly, you will never get to the first page. I can guarantee you that, okay? Because too many of your competitors are. Improve mobile conversion rate. So if you have a good mobile experience, you can get more leads, more calls, more sales off of that mobile device. As opposed to, I know you've been to some websites and they're just horrible. You got about 3 seconds, and if you can't engage the person, they're going to bug out. They're going to go someplace else. I know you've seen some of those before. So you got a better user experience, and then you got faster download speed, which again goes back to Google and the search engines. Mobile friendly first. Okay. Here's some mobile stats to kind of get your palette going. From 2013 to 2019, the mobile share of U.S. organic search visits. So this is where people are actually searching, going to a search engine and searching. It actually peaked at the end of 19 at 60%, and it's now leveled at about 58%, and that's where it's expected to be. And these are statistics from an respected organization called Statista, which pretty much keeps everything about the web and statistics going. So this is smartphones and tablets combined, so it's huge, and you know you need to live it, okay? Now, we're going to jump into the strange beast called search engine optimization. I know you guys have heard of it. I know you might have a little bit of knowledge about it. Let's see by a show of hands, how many of you are very familiar with SEO? Anybody? How many of you are somewhat familiar with SEO? And how many of you at a cocktail party, if someone asked you to explain SEO, would you feel very uncomfortable? Yeah, okay, I get it, okay. So why do you need to be on page 1 of Google? Anybody know?
As far as somebody goes.
So, as I always said, the best place to hide a dead body is on the second page of Google, because nobody ever goes there, okay? So 81% of consumers, they search online before they buy. 84% only click on the organic results. And the organic results are everything that's down here So up here are the paid ads at the top of the page and at the bottom of the page. And then we have the elusive 3-pack, which is called local and maps. It's called a 3-pack. And then we have the organic listings down below. Most people click on those organic listings. Why? People are kind of afraid of ads. Maybe they think their computer's going to blow up, or something's going to happen. But that's really, really important. Okay, so people just generally skip the advertisements. So how do you get on the first page? $900 question. Here's how Google decides how it ranks your website. Okay, if you can imagine a bookshelf with many shelves, and each shelf is a page on Google, Google is going to look at two things: relevancy and trust. And that's how it's going to use to determine where on the shelf and on what page your website's going to fit. If you deserve to be on the 5th page, position number 3, that's where you'll go. Why? It's not about you. It's about Google and about that relevancy and trust. Okay? So it's really, really important that we build that relevancy and trust. And here's how we're going to do that. So relevancy. So relevancy is typically referred to as on-site SEO, where actually things are happening on your website to make it more relevant, which basically is like content and things. Most small business owners think that their websites are effective because they look good, but what's important to understand is how Google views a website. Google looks at your website's code. It doesn't care how pretty it looks. If the code isn't optimized, then Google will either keep you off the first page or may not even see you at all. Okay? Another factor that a lot of businesses overlook is mobile devices. Again, if your site isn't mobile friendly, then Google will just move you down in the search rankings. And as a matter of fact, almost 53% of first-time visits to the website are from mobile devices. So it's really, really important that you're optimizing for that. And it's also critical that you have relevant content on your website. Remember relevance. Relevant content on your website that integrates the keywords that local buyers search for when they're trying to find your business. Also, the speed of your website is important too. Google checks to see how quickly your website loads when considering who to rank first. So if your desktop ranks higher than your mobile and your desktop, people on the desktop are going to see your website higher in the search rankings, the results, than they will on a mobile. Okay. And finally, posting great content regularly, which goes to blogging, and we'll talk about that later. This is really one of the best things that you can do to get ranked by Google and to keep potential customers interested in your business. And one of the ways that you do that, or one of the reasons this happens, is because if you think about the average website, it's kind of a set it and forget it. So you built the website, you put it up there, you kind of launch it, and you put the little sail up, and the wind comes and picks it up, and it goes away. And that's what happens. Google comes back a year later, same content. 2 years later, same content. Why would you expect Google to give you love when there's your neighbor or your competitor who's actually writing blogs twice a month or 3 times or 4 times a month and always has this fresh content for Google to crawl? Really, really important. Okay. So that's relevance. That's the on-site portion of SEO. Now we're going to talk about trust. And trust is the off-site portion of SEO, things that happen off your website. Okay. Now there's a lot of websites that have the right content and are relevant, and Google will sift through the relevant websites and determine who it trusts the most. Okay. The most basic way that Google determines trust is by how many other websites besides your own are linking back to your website. Does that make sense? Okay, it's called backlinks or strategic linking, and there's a lot of different words for it, but it's basically who's linking back to you. Why? Because if someone links back to you, it's a vote. It's a positive vote. Google says, okay, people aren't going to link to your website if there's no relevant content on there, if that makes sense. Okay, so building trust with Google is very similar to real life relationships. It takes time, and it's done through a variety of small yet meaningful things that build up to a greater and greater trust. It can't be bought. And just like personal relationships, quality is more rewarding than quantity. Everybody agree with that? Okay. All right. So that's offsite. Now we're going to talk about kind of how a typical SEO process would work. So the first thing that is typically done is there's a website audit and a keyword selection where you're actually choosing, what keywords that you want to target for your specific audience. Some of you are business to business, some are business to consumer. So it really, really depends on who your audience is. Okay. The next thing is on-site optimization. Okay. You have to make sure that your on-site components of your websites are correct. This will help visitors and search engines easily understand what you do and why you're relevant. Okay. The next thing is off-site optimization. So offsite, this is where businesses online can get promoted with high quality content, online business profiles, and other time-tested online marketing tactics. Okay, this is all done offsite. This shows that your website this shows your website visitors and the search engines that you're a trusted source for the product or service that you provide. And then we move on next to real-time reporting. So if you do SEO, you should have some kind of real-time reporting or metrics or something that you can go by to determine if your program is actually working or not. Because having somebody just send you a report once a month is probably not a good thing, because maybe they're targeting the wrong keywords. You got to be involved in the process. Okay. And then it leads to improved rankings. So the goal of SEO is to improve your rankings, which means getting you to the first page of Google for the keywords that you've selected that are actually relevant to your business, that will actually convert to paying customers. And as you continue to optimize the website and build more links from trusted sources, your website begins to rise in the rankings on Google and other search engines. And then finally, this all leads to, hopefully, if you've done everything right, it will lead to increased sales. And sales could be a myriad of things. If you have an e-commerce store, it could mean real-time, sales. If you work based on referrals, it could get you more referrals. If you get leads from someplace or from your website, it can increase the leads that you get. And then ultimately, if you can close them, you can get more business. That make sense? Everybody cool on SEO? You guys are experts on it now? Yeah. All right, here we go. So how long does SEO process take? So in the early days with Google, it was possible to get on the first page really quickly. But Google got really smart and stopped letting people cheat their way to the top. So effective SEO takes time, and you really have to truly earn trust from Google. So if someone ever promised you the first page in a very short time, you should probably run in the other direction, because their methods are probably not in the up and up. So doing SEO in the right way builds equity in your website. Have any of you ever done paid ads and things like that? Have any of you ever done paid ads? Vernon, have you done them? Okay, you're on mute.
I have done paid ads before.
Okay.
And hit and miss.
So if you think about this, so when you do paid ads, and those are the ads that you see at the top and the bottom of the search results, when you do that, the challenge with that is that as soon as you stop paying, your traffic stops. So there's no residual value. When you find the right person to marry, it changes your life. And it's endearing. It goes on forever. You know what I mean? But when you stop those paid ads, the relationship stops. It's like, sorry, we're not going to send you any more business. So if you want a residual effect, SEO is absolutely the best way to do that, because it improves the long-lasting results. So how long does it typically take? So in 45 days is when usually the on-site optimization to build trust is happening. 3 to 4 months, you're building kind of significant improvements in your ranking, going from page 10 to page 2. Within 6 months, typically you can expect to see a first page ranking for the keywords that you're targeting. And then beyond that, it's basically ensuring that you don't slip. Because sometimes we have customers that we get them to the first page, and then we turn our focus to different keywords. And then while we're our eyes off the ball, the original keywords slip off the first page again. So you have to it's an 80-20 rule. 80% of your time on that new business, 20% on the maintenance part of it, to make sure that they don't slip. Okay, cool. Now, we're going to talk about something really, really cool. We call it the local search ecosystem. Now, I know you guys, this is going to be confusing and your eyes are probably rolling in the back of your head. But if you think about this, so everybody knows about the 3 credit bureaus, right? They hold all the consumer credit information, okay? So for business information, there are 4 data aggregators. And these aggregators hold all the business information, much like the credit bureaus hold consumer credit information, okay? And the information that they hold is the business name, the address, the phone number, and the website, okay? Among other things. So what's really important is that if these data aggregators have your correct business information, they will disseminate it out and push it out to all of their downstream partner websites, like little sites like Facebook and Yelp, Easy Local and Hot Frog, vertical directories like Yahoo Local, and then core search engines like Apple, Google, and Bing, those little guys. So it's really, really important that your business information that you have is actually pushed out to these data aggregators, so the data aggregators can actually push it downstream. Okay, and I'm going to show you in a second why it's important to have correct business information. So you've got your business listing. So this right here example is a Google My Business. Everybody knows that. This is called Google My Business, and you can sign up for an account going to business.google.com, and you can fill out your Google My Business profile. You can put in your company name, your website, you can put in all of your business information, your hours of operation, your holidays, you can put a lot of stuff in there. But what's important is when somebody's searching for you, they can find this. If you actually do a search for this dentist, this will pop up on the right-hand side of the search results. You've seen that before, okay? It's really important that you claim that Google My Business because it's everything Google. So all of Google it shares this data with, which is really important. So why is it important for your business listing to be accurate? Why? Because search engines hate inaccurate data. Google and Yelp and everybody else, they compare notes. And Vernon, if your business is listed as Web Group Leadership and another one has Web Group Development Leadership, Inc., and it's inconsistent, who's right? The search engine doesn't know which one has the correct data. So it's really hard to give you love and promote you and boost you up in the rankings if it's not sure. So the best way to do that is to make sure your business is listed correctly all across the web. And there's actually software to do that. Trying to do it on your own at 300 websites, you're talking about hundreds of hours a year. You don't have time for that, okay? So search engines look for, we refer to it as NAP, name, address, and phone. And also they consider websites. That's what they look for. So you have to build consistent information, and then it increases your website traffic. So if your business is listed correctly across all the sites and everybody knows that it's correct, then it's going to rank you higher. So you're going to get more leads, more calls, more sales. Does that make sense? This is the illustrious 3-pack that shows up, and you've seen this when you do a search too. If you do this right and you do SEO and you do your business listings correctly, you have a shot to get in this 3-pack. Now, this is really good for retail businesses with walk-in locations and things like that. So a lot of you have service area businesses where you kind of go to the customer. So it's not really as relevant, but it's still important that you claim your Google My Business listing. Very, very important. Okay. All right. So here we go now. We're going to talk about one other thing, and this kind of plays back to that name, address, and phone number. Okay. So there's a thing in search called citations. I know that if you speed down the 10 freeway, you're going to get a citation also, but it's different than web citations. Those are traffic tickets, and web citations are actually good for you and they don't cost you money. Okay. So what a citation basically is any mention of your business name, address, phone number, or website on another website besides your own. Okay. The more citations you have, that's also a ranking signal that helps your search engine ranking improve. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and these citations they'll grow pretty fast. This is one of our customers from August of last year. Well, it's actually the past 6 months, and this is how they've grown. It's pretty crazy. So they've grown almost 2,000% from the beginning, from 2018. They've grown this much. But when you grow these citations, all it is just more and more and more places talking about you and linking back to you. Very, very important. Okay. So those are called citations. And typically, if you do some SEO work or something on the business listing side, typically it will involve these citations as well. So you should ask about that. All right, let's talk about content writing. This is the painful thing for most businesses because, quite frankly, we know we're not all writers. We're not professional writers. And that's okay. You don't have to be. You just need to find out about somebody who is. Okay, Jorge has to leave. Okay. Anyway, so writing for your blog on your website is really, really important, primarily because it's going to help your customers get more value out of what you do. It's also going to raise awareness. It's also going to be indexed on the search engines. So when somebody's searching for a topic that you're writing about, they can actually land on your website and find more about it. Contrary to popular belief, people think that blogging is all about me, 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 me. It's never about you. Blogging should never be about you. It should always be about what Zig Ziglar says, helping enough other people get what they want out of life, and then you can get what you want out of life. So when you do blogging, you write articles that are relevant to your customers, okay? To your customers. So Vernon, you do training, professional training and development and stuff like that. So if you're
Right.
looking for, if your customer is someone of Metro that's looking for to develop their team and things like that, and they're looking for leadership development training, then your articles should be written on, you know, how to make a great leader, how to develop great leaders, how to do those kind of things. Because what ends up happening is somebody's going to Google it. Somebody's going to Google it, and your blog article is going to show up. They're going to click on it, and they're going to land on your website, and they're going to, oh my gosh, this is great. This is good information. And then they're going to get on your website, and they're going to start looking around like this. Oh, what's this? Oh, ooh, let me click on that. Oh, let me click on that. It's all about getting those eyeballs where it's relevant over to your website. Is that a good buyer for you, Vernon?
Absolutely.
Absolutely a great buyer. Now, I'm
Yeah.
going to show you an example here of how powerful this content writing is. Now, so one of our customers, and it's one of our star customers. We have quite a few of them, but this one is the results, we're just killing it for them. And I want to show you how important this blog writing articles is. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I bookmarked it, but you can still go do the search. So one of the articles we wrote is the true cost of inefficient picking. Now, what does our customer do? Our customer is a wood pallet manufacturer. They make the wood pallets. They go on forklifts, they go inside of trucks that go and get delivered somewhere. Okay, very simple business. But their customers are warehouse managers. The warehouse manager at Amazon warehouse, the warehouse manager at Costco, that's their customer. The people upstairs in the warehouse say, hey, warehouse manager, I need you to knock out these efficiencies in our picking. We're losing too much money because your people that run up and down the aisles picking the products are picking the wrong stuff and shipping the wrong stuff out, and it's causing a lot of returns for us. I need you to solve that problem. What does the warehouse manager do? What is the true cost of inefficient picking, or true cost of inefficient picking? He's going to type that in because he needs to get an education fast because his boss upstairs just yelled at him. Got it? So here's what happens when he goes and does this search.
According to LinkedIn, while this sounds like a pretty good rate,
Oh, sorry, my speaker's going off. But you can see this link right here.
And understand the average cost per error is anywhere from $50 to $300.
That's the customer's website, and this is a blog article. True cost of inefficient picking. It's in warehouse language, so it's very foreign to me. It's very foreign to you guys. But when you do it on your own, it's going to be very familiar to you because you know your business. Okay, and this article is all about. Tells about what's picking. It tells about everything in all of their lingo and everything that's in the warehouse manager's lingo, human error, inefficient picking routes, talks their language. But this article is keyword rich with those particular keywords, and that's what we're targeting to be able to get those warehouse managers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what happens is the warehouse manager lands on their website, and then they look around. Maybe they'll request a quote. Maybe they'll fill out your online form for a consultation. Maybe they'll schedule a call. So articles need to be relevant to who your customers are. It's not about you, it's about them. What kind of pain points do they have? Write about that. Very important. Okay. You can share all of these articles on LinkedIn and other social media. A great place to share articles on your LinkedIn. Why? You need to set yourself up as an expert and to be that trusted advisor. This is the days of sales, of the traditional sales, are kind of over. What companies are looking for today is they're looking for trusted advisors. Everybody sells the same thing you do. What sets you apart? You need to be a trusted advisor. How do you build that trust? Writing articles that educate them. That's the way. You have to understand that someone's going to come to your website and start reading your articles, and they're going to read other articles, and they're going to go around, and they're going to click, and they're going to go over here, and they're going to say, okay, let's look at their other articles. Okay, well, here, let's look at 2020. Here's all these other articles. They're going to look at everything is about warehouse operations, every article. Are they going to think this guy's an expert at warehouse operations? Yeah. Okay, so the next time their company that provides pallets messes up, these guys are going to get a call. Guaranteed they're going to get a call. Okay, the recommendation for writing is a couple articles a month. I want you to write this website down very, very simply. Oh, Sterling, great question, Sterling. Hold on. Sterling asks, how long should these blog posts be? That really depends on the type of article and the subject matter that you're writing. Our typical articles for this customer are in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 words. Okay, 1,000 to 1,500 words. And I have to tell you, when you get into the length of it, it gets into science, which I'll dip into just briefly, but I'm not going to go too deep because you will all drown. Okay, so we have tools that we use in software that actually will go out and it will crawl the web, and we'll find a specific keyword we want to target, and it will go and do a search, and it will take the top 10 articles who are ranking for that keyword, and it will crawl those articles, and it will give us the links to all 10 of those articles. Okay, then it will analyze all those articles, it will read through all of them, and it will tell us, if you want to compete with these guys, your article needs to be at least 1,200 words. And that's how we determine how long the article is. So unfortunately, it's not an exact question about a length, because it varies. Our articles that we write for our customers range anywhere from 500 words up to 4,000 words. And 4,000 words is a long article. It's pretty painful to read. It's like a 20-minute read, you know? But these are more, we call these real long articles, we call them evergreen, just like a tree, because they last forever. They're not about some trend or something that's going to be gone in 2 months. They're evergreen articles, meaning they'll stand the test of time. It could be basic, hiring principles or something like that. But I hope that answered your question, Sterling. We recommend a minimum of 2 articles a month, just because you're getting frequency and things like that. That also gives you some really, really good ammunition for your LinkedIn. And remember, you want to share content on your LinkedIn, but you also want to engage your audience and show them, again, set yourself up as the expert. Man, this guy, this Vernon or Denise, she's always sharing these articles with us. And Denise, you're working on the real estate side. So who's your customer? Real estate office?
My customer is real estate lawyers and lenders.
There you go. There you go. So you're writing articles on, how to avoid the pitfalls of X, Y, or Z, the top 5 X, Y, or Z. You're writing articles that educate them about, it could be even about their industry. Because remember, even if it's not about title, it could be about real estate. Because if your target is like commercial real estate, those commercial real estate brokers and agents are going to be looking for articles that are of interest to them. And then they run across your services and go, you know what, we were just talking about that. We need a new title company. Okay. All right, moving along. So how to convert visitors into prospects. Ooh. So first things first, before anybody's going to be your customer, they have to trust you, then they have to like you, and then they'll buy from you in that order. Okay. So we got leads, we turn them into prospects, and then we turn them into customers. So how can you capture leads? There's a whole bunch, a myriad of ways that you can capture leads, and I'm going to give you some examples. You can book a meeting or a call. So why don't you set something up like this, where somebody can pop up and they can schedule a 30-minute phone call with you. You can use Calendly. This customer uses Acuity, but you can use Calendly. I think a lot of you guys use it already. You can put that on your website and allow people to, book a call or book a meeting. Newsletter sign up. So on ours, we have a newsletter sign up page. And what we do is, so we focus on small business. So this is small business news. We put our newsletter out every Tuesday, and this is the last Tuesday's news. And it's all about, this one is about how to reinvent your business without spending too much off our blog. We share relevant content. It's not about us. We share relevant content from other providers also. Here's an article, Entrepreneur Fast Company, CNBC, Small Business Trends, Entrepreneur Grow Your Business. All these articles are coming from different sources as well. And you can do it that way too. So you get a newsletter sign up, and those newsletter people are just like people that read your blog. They're potential customers in the future. Okay. The next one, how about a landing page? So maybe you want to build a special page where people land on that's going to help kind of convert them. Maybe it's going to ask for their information or ask them to book an appointment. So you can build a landing page. So we have a landing page here that talks about a free business report. It's got a video, explainer video that talks about, why this is important. There's some statistics on here to get small business owners to take action. 14% of small businesses fail because of poor marketing. And then you get this free report, and a report looks something like this. So it gives them letter grades on how they're doing on a whole bunch of different channels. And most importantly, you have a call to action. Write this down, CTA, call to action. You got to have it on your website. You got to have a way to grab people's information. Most people, 98%, they come to your website, they never leave a business card, right? Never leave a business card. Grab their information, and then you can call and follow up afterwards. Really, really important, okay? Finally, if you do quotes or something like that, maybe you want to have them give a quote. So here's going back to this pallet manufacturer. Here's a get a quote form. Now, looks kind of plain Jane, looks like an email form, and it is. It goes by email to the customer, but what's more important is they can actually attach drawings or something like that if they have to give a sketch. They can attach some document here, okay? And then that goes by email to you. But what's really cool is that in that particular case where we have this lead form, these are customers who are asking for a quote for some custom pallets, okay? They're a machinery manufacturer and they need a custom pallet built to hold their big machine while it's in transit. So they'll fill out that quote form, and then what ends up happening is that quote form results go by email to the customer. In addition, it fills out a Google Sheet. So this Google Sheet, that form dumps into too. So we as marketers can look at it in real time and we can tell it time and date stamps when it came through. So we know when it came through and we can track it. What's really important to note here is that your results, if I ask you, Yen, if I ask you how to keep track of your leads, you're probably going to say, well, they come into my inbox. Well, an inbox is great, but it's really, really hard to quantify that, right? How do you know it went in your inbox? So how many did you get? A lot. What does that mean? But if you can put it in a Google Sheet and you can say, oh, I got 13 this month, then it makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
And then you can take the lead now and you can add it into your CRM system. I know, Vernon, you use Infusionsoft, which is now, what's the name?
Keep.
Oh, Keep.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of CRM systems out there, but it's basically a way for you to keep track of your leads until you can convert them into customers. So that's really important. Another one, so how do you measure ROI? So what's really important to note here is this little quote at the bottom. Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. That's so true today. And this gentleman, John Wanamaker, was kind of famous in the late 1800s. He was a department store magnate. And he ended up selling his 12 department stores to a little company called Macy's. And then he ended up doing the marketing for Macy's. So they kind of consider him today the father of marketing. And this is the late 1800s. But this guy was really sharp. But so it's really important that when you spend $1 is that you know how much it's returning to you. Now, when I asked you before, Vernon, about if you're doing PPC, and you kind of said mixed results, can you share that a little bit with us?
Well, when I first started my business, I went to Google Leads and tried some different places that I could, place leads and so forth. And I got mixed results. That's about the best way I can tell it. And that was early on in my business.
Okay.
Since then, I've focused more on LinkedIn.
Okay. So when you, in order to be able to start this whole process, you need to figure out where the end is. And then you kind of work backwards from there. So the way we do it is we kind of reverse engineer this whole process where it actually makes sense. Most of us here are not selling a product online. In fact, I don't think anybody here is selling a product online. So everybody here refers for either referral or needs a referral or a lead or some, a phone call or somebody to fill out a form on their website in order to be able to start a conversation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's really hard for us to quantify it and say, oh, Vernon, so how much sales did you generate? You're like, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. Well, let's distill it down. So the two questions that you're going to ask yourself is, what is your average sale? And if you don't know what your average sale is, take last year's tax return, take that revenue, divide it by the number of customers, there's your average sale. Okay, real simple. So I'm going to use a simple example here. Let's pretend that your average sale is $1,000. Okay, and let's pretend your close rate is 20%. What do I mean by that? If I sent you 10 of those leads, how many could you close? Well, I don't know exactly. Give me an estimate. It's an average. Okay. 20%, That's 2 out of 10, right? So that's 20%. So now, would it be safe to assume that your average lead value is $200 now? See how that works?
Yeah.
Now it makes sense, and now it makes it easy to start quantifying things because, oh, I never really thought of it that way. It's not complicated. Okay? So now you know that every time you get a lead, it's worth $200. Now, you need to go back and revisit that number periodically to make sure, because if you start getting bigger customers, Vernon, because you're just so good at your leadership development training and development, that you get bigger customers now, or Metro says, you know what, we're going to do a regional thing now, or, you know, I'm going to refer you to somebody over at Caltrans district, right? Right?
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you got a bigger training class, okay? So the idea is that you have to come back and revisit that and then make some adjustments so you're not cheating yourself or the other way around, okay? Now we're going to do the return on investment formula, really simple. Let's pretend we put 20 leads in. They're $200 each, right? So the lead value, so we got $4,000. With me so far? We got $4,000 in revenue. We divide it by our $1,000 marketing cost. We come up with a 400% return on investment. So every dollar we put in, we get $4 back. Is 400% a good ROI? You know, for me, no. For the average person, probably is. You know, our floor is like, if it's under $500 or 500%, we're like, you know, because we know it's a hard-earned dollars. I mean, $1,000 is hard for you to come up with. And it's easy for us to spend, but it's hard for you to come up with, okay? So we're always mindful of that. So we like to see a minimum of 500 to 1,000%. That's kind of our sweet spot. Our typical is about 850 range, but that's kind of how that works. So it's important that in order to be able to determine and be able to have some staying power and stick with that advertising is that you got to know if it's working. Because a lot of times business owners, they stop the marketing because they're not sure it's working or they don't think it's working. You have to know that it's working. And in this case, it does. So now, as long as you want to keep that revenue stream coming in, you keep advertising. Advertising is not a set it and forget it thing. You got to work it, you got to nurture it, and you have to tweak it, because sometimes what used to work doesn't work anymore. So you have to keep modifying things. But in the end, if you got a good ROI, you stick with it until you don't. And as the old famous saying goes, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have a different one. If it ain't broke, break it. Because sometimes you can find out that, man, I can't believe we've been doing it that way for so long. We thought we had a good ROI, but we got 600% now doing it a different way. So you always got to think outside the box a little bit. Everybody see how that worked? All right. So one of the things that I'm going to recommend that you do is a case study. What does that mean? Vernon, you can do a case study. Robin, you can do a case study. Yen, you can do a case study. Sterling, I'm not sure about your business, but just about every business can do a case study. And what do I mean by that? What you're going to do is you're going to state some facts. You're going to talk about an overview of the company you helped, of the challenge they had, the solution you recommended, the benefits to them, and then the actual results that you produced. Okay? Some of us are in businesses that are not kind of quantifiable. Vernon, yours is a little bit tougher because unless they test people afterwards and say, wow, Vernon really put a good education in their head. So some of the things are a little bit harder to measure, but other things are not. You know, Denise, if you get another customer, you know, that's a good way to measure it. Vernon, if you are actually able to get another customer as a result of putting a case study in front of a prospect, then that works, right?
Yeah.
So doing case studies are really powerful because it puts people in a situation where they go, hey, that's a similar situation to what I'm in. And if he can do that for them, I wonder what he can do for my organization. And that's the way it works. So I'm going to show you what we created for Pallet Market. This is for us to show other prospects that are competitors of Pallet Market, basically our target market. This is to show them what we've done for them. Okay? So they have 750,000 pallets on their lot. They're out in Fontana. That's a lot of pallets, as you can see. They're a big pallet manufacturer. So we talk about a company overview about their company and kind of what they do. There's a link to their website. And again, this is the case study I'm sharing with prospects who I'm trying to get their business. Okay? We talk about some little eye candy stats here that'll kind of get the prospect to, wow, man, those are pretty incredible numbers. Okay? Then we talk about the challenge the customer had. You know, they had an old tired website. They hadn't given it any love. They didn't spend any money on advertising. And they were kind of like, yeah, our business is okay. We're still in business and we haven't any advertising. So what's broken? And we finally convinced them to, try something out. We got them to spend a little money. And then they came back about 6 months later and go, how do we get more business? And I said, spend more money. And they go, well, what about it? And they go, it's already a proven system. Just throw more money at it and you get more business. It's not complicated. And they go, okay. So they get more money. And then 6 months later, he came back and says, hey, we want even more business. How do we get more? And we told them to spend more money. So they started spending more money. So business owners are risk averse. Nobody wants to spend money if they can't measure it and it doesn't work for them. Okay. But if you find a magic formula for what works, you're going to go down to the bank and borrow a whole bunch of money and start throwing money at it like crazy. Why? Because it works, right? And then you talk about the solution you came up with to be able to, hopefully solve the problem of not enough business. And how did it benefit? How did it benefit them? And then finally the results. So in this particular case, within 8 months, this is the results we produced. 63% increase in website traffic. And these are unique visits. These are brand new website visitors that have never been to the website, okay? 268% in requests for a quote, 409% increase in quote revenue, and 1,042% return on investment. Every dollar they spent, we delivered basically $10.42 in return. That's pretty good ROI. I showed you this table earlier. This is their local citations and how those have grown since basically we started in May. Well, we started actually June 1st, but this is what happens when you do some pretty aggressive marketing. This is what happens with your name, address, and phone number across the web. Now we've got 583 websites that are linking back to this website. It's giving them lots and lots of trust, okay? And then here's your Google Analytics. This is proving the increase in visitors, okay, over that period of time. See, May 1 to December 31st of this year, of 2020 versus the previous year. And that's the growth. It's pretty crazy. But when you do a case study, it really, really sets you apart, and it puts the prospect at ease because they know that, what, this company's got it going on. They know what they're doing. They have a process. They have a proven process, it looks like, unless this is the only customer they have. I don't know. But it puts you orders of magnitude ahead of all the other competitors. And you got to believe that when somebody says, Bill, or Sarah, we need to do more business training. We need to train our managers better. Or we need to have a workshop and get our brokers to, do something, or whatever it is that they're going to start looking for you. And they're also going to look at a couple of your competitors. And what they're going to end up doing is they're going to bring you on the table with all of these blogs and all this expertise in the industry. And then they're going to bring the other two in, and you're going to go off to the side because you're already you're not a contender anymore. You've won. And now they're going to take these other two and they're going to compare them to each other. One of them's going to go away, and then they're going to take that second place person and put them up against you, and they're not going to be able to hold a candle to you. You see? You're going to kill it all day long. Why? Because look at this. He's writing articles on the industry all day long. How could this not know how to build my business? If they already have this deep understanding of my business already, how could they not help me? And orders of magnitude to put you ahead of all the competitors. Literally takes them off at the knees. It's kind of sweet. When we show this case study to other pallet companies, their jaws drop on the ground. They can't say anything. And now it's a question of, a lot of people are, there's a lot of people out there that are cheap. They've never spent money, and they don't know why they have to spend money and have business. It's okay. I'd like more, but I'm not willing to spend any because I've never done it in the past. So there's a comfort zone there, But when they see this and it's like, oh, their jaws drop to the ground, they're like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then some actually want to buy. It's really, really important to do a case study. So to recap, we're almost at the finish line here, so you can take your seatbelts off. So to recap, I'm going to give you some homework. Mobile-friendly website. You need to get it checked. And you can go to a website called and spell. Think with Google. Think with Google. Go to Think with Google. It's just thinkwithgoogle.com. And under the Tools menu, They have all kind of tools. And at the bottom here, it's called Test My Site. And I'm going to give that to everybody. Give me just a second. I'm going to make sure everybody's in there. Okay. So that's the first thing you're going to do. And you want to make sure that it's mobile friendly. Okay. Invest in SEO. You can do it at just about any level. Obviously, the more you spend, the faster results. People always ask me, well, you know, how much it costs, and you tell them based on their industry. It's all based on industry. It's based on competitive nature of the marketplace. It's based on a number of factors, and we will tell them how many hours of SEO we recommend. It's not just a flat rate. It's how many hours. More competitive industries require more hours. Less competitive, less hours. Bigger markets, more hours, etc. We'll tell them number of hours, and the customer says, wow, you know, we tell them 15 hours a month. Well, how much is that? Well, it's, you know, say $1,200. Oh, $1,200 is a lot. I can only spend 6. Okay, great. I can give the results in twice the time. I can't give you the same results in the same amount of time for half the price. I can't do that because SEO takes a butt in a seat doing work. It's not a magic thing where as soon as you go out of the door, we push a button and magically, you know, pixie dust starts falling out of the sky and unicorns come out from everywhere. It doesn't work like that. It takes a butt and a seat to do it. So invest in SEO. Fix your business listing. Make sure that your business listing is correct and accurate across the whole web. Okay. And I've got something to share with you in a minute that it'll help you do that. Get more citations. Again, if you participate in SEO or anything related to fixing your business listings, typically that will include those citations because citations are a really powerful thing. Start content writing. Start a blog on your website. Okay. I'm going to share another thing with you. Text broker. Okay. Text broker. Hundreds of thousands of writers sitting at home with nothing to do but write content for you. Now, why would people do this? Oh, there's people who do this for a lot of reasons. We have customers in a lot of different fields, and we have customers in the security industry, not stock market, but securities, but security industry. And we actually have 2 writers who are investigators, detectives or investigators, cybercrime investigators, one for a state and one for a county, who actually write the blogs for the security blogs for this customer. Is that crazy? Why would they do that? It's a side gig for them. They got a full-time job. They're a public servant and they got a full-time job, but they love to write about what they do. There are writers for everything. I have for this pallet manufacturer, I have warehouse managers who write these articles. They manage warehouses, logistics, and supply chain. That's what they do for a living. And they do this blogging on the side on the weekends. There's writers everywhere. You go in there, you basically pay by the word. Okay, you pay by the word. And you can expect anywhere from 2 cents up to 15 cents per word. What does that mean? Well, we do a 1,000-word article. That could be $20 versus it could be $150 per article. Just depends on how good the writer is. You can look at the writers from a 1-star up to a 5-star rating. You can filter them by subject matter, things like that. We only work with 5-star writers, which are the top, and they're the most expensive, but they do the best writing. Occasionally we'll take a 4-star, but it's really easy to filter. But I really encourage you to do that, is to look into that, because then you'll have to do it yourself. You're going to have to give them a brief. You're going to have to tell them what you do and the kind of customer you want to target and the kind of keyword you want to target. But after that, you let them do the writing. The online platform will check for plagiarism. Plagiarism is really important. Why? Because there's a lot of people that want to cheat and they want to copy the content from someplace else. Kind of like the kids these days, how they copy other people's writing from online. So they have a built-in plagiarism checker that will check the web to make sure that's not copied content from someplace else. And the system will automatically decline it if it is. So it's for your safety, because you don't want to get a letter from a lawyer saying that you have copyrighted content. Okay? Word of the wise. Text broker. Let's see. Start tracking your conversions. Get your web guy. If you've got an online form on your website, set up a Google Sheet and have your guy connect that to a Google Sheet. Okay? And if he doesn't know how to do that, there's another There's another company called Zapier, and Zapier makes software that will connect anything to anything. Anything to anything.
Yeah.
It'll take your website form and dump the results into Google Sheets. It will take an email and dump it into a Google Doc. It'll take stuff off your website and dump it into Infusionsoft. It'll dump it anywhere you want. It'll send an email. It'll mark this. It'll put it into a CRM system and create a lead for you. Zapier will do anything to anything. So just imagine an adapter plug. So you're traveling all over the world and you don't even have an adapter plug with you. You just pull out Zapier and you can plug in your whatever your hair dryer or blow dryer. You can plug it in anywhere. Zapier is great. Know your ROI. Do the math on your thing and figure out what that average lead is worth to you, because it helps you quantify things. So when you're trying later and you're trying to see how much money you're willing to spend, so what's the potential upside? You know, look at what the potential upside is. So if the upside on your business is $500,000 for their business, if it's 500,000, in other words, if they're dealing with $100,000 pieces of business, and you can bring them five customers, that's $500,000. What do you think they're willing to pay for that? What would you be willing to pay if I say, hey, Vernon, you know, your average training is $50,000. If I could send you, you know, and you got a 20% close rate, that's 10,000 a pop. Yeah, I could send you those 10,000 all day long. Would you be willing to pay for it? Would you willing to pay me a 10% fee for that? Probably.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it really depends on what your cost of sales are. You know, if you have a really high overhead, that's different. But, you know, for a lot of us, you know, working out of our houses or small businesses, and we don't have a real high overhead, we can afford to take a haircut like that to get a really, really good, solid, qualified lead. Okay. So you got to know your ROI, because you're never going to spend money if you're not going to know what the return's going to be in the end. So you got to know that. And then create a case study. Finally, make sure that you create that case study that is written for that target market that you're already doing business with, and you have a case study. So when you get the next prospect on, you can show them that case study, just like I did with you. If I had a pallet manufacturer from Illinois on the phone with me, I'm going to show them that case study. Why? Because they're going to get fixated on those numbers. Holy cow, look at the number. Look at the return they're getting. I'm just going to glaze over it. Just, whoop. Why? Because we know that industry well, and you know your industries well. So create those case studies. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a free offer, because you know you're going to get something for free. I got 60 seconds. So it's a $349 value. You remember that business report that I was talking about? I can give you that free business report. Now, these reports are typically, they're geared for retail, not retail, but say brick and mortar where you have a physical address, but you'll still get a lot of insight, because it will still give you the information that you need to be able to fix a lot of things. So if you want to put your name and your email in that chat box, I'll go ahead and run one. I'll get in touch with you. We'll get some more data from you, and then we'll run one of these reports for you. Okay. And the report, what's going to show is, it's going to give you letter grades A through F. Don't worry, it's going to be ugly for some of you, less ugly for others. It's going to talk about your listings and how your business is listed across the web. It's going to show you how your business is listed and how many places it's listed and how many places are available for your industry. It's going to show you about your reviews, if you have reviews. You know, some business like our business is not a real heavily reviewed business, but some businesses are. So it's going to tell you how your reviews are doing. It's going to tell you how your social's doing or not. If you're not doing social media, it's going to ding you pretty bad. It's going to show your website. It's going to show you your desktop and your mobile and how well you're doing there. Oh, this is an F. It's going to show you, we actually won't show you the advertising part of it, because most businesses are not advertising, so we don't want to shake that in front of you. And then it's going to show you your SEO, and it's going to show you how well you're doing SEO wise. Okay. But one of the things we'll do is we'll get in touch with you, and we'll talk about some keywords that you're targeting, and that's what we're going to go after, and we'll go out and look for, and then we'll give you a report on kind of how you're doing. So again, put your name and your email in there, and in the box, and I'll go ahead and share it with you. Okay. And that is that. Well. Who's got questions?
Can we get a copy of this, Mitch?
No, no.
Fair enough.
I have a,
Gotta ask.
well, because the only thing that I really is valuable to share is all those places where you can test and stuff like that. I think that if you let me run that report on your business, it'll give you a lot of insight and you'll know where you need to fix, because it basically will tell you what you need to fix, what's broken. Okay.
Fair enough. Got it.
Okay. All right. So any other questions? Anybody? You're welcome, Denise.
Thank you, Mitch. How about if the clients are in multiple industries? So we just have to do a case study for the various industries?
Yes, yes, because we have those for several industries that we play in. One thing to remember is that when you do like SEO and things like that, you got to be very, very narrowly focused. Don't try to be everything to everybody, okay? You have to focus and be an expert. So if you say, sometimes we ask prospects, you know, who's your customer? And they say, well, everybody who has a wallet or everybody who needs debt, who wants to make investments or wants to save for retirement, everybody's our customer. You can't target everybody because you can't afford $50,000 a month to target everybody. So what we tell you is this, and you think about this. There's more business in 2 square blocks downtown Los Angeles, Yen, than you could ever handle in your life, ever. Vernon, there's more business in that Caltrans building, or there's more business in that Metro building than you could ever handle. Agree?
No.
So why do you want to go out and try to conquer the whole county or the whole Southern California? Why? Just go walk outside your business and go, oh, there's some business right there. Oh, there's another one next door. There's another one next door. There's plenty of business. And what it does is 2 things when you start thinking small. When you think small, it'll do 2 things for you. Number 1 is you'll spend a heck of a lot more money. And number 2 is you'll actually get more business. Why? Because you're not spreading $1,000 over the whole Southern California. You got $1,000 you're spending on 1 block. Because when you do ads and stuff like that, especially even like Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads, you can geo-target. It's very specific, even down to the zip code. So if you don't want to waste your money, you know, just doing what we call spray and pray, shotgun approach, boom. You know, we're just kind of throwing the money everywhere. You can really, really focus. So yeah, I would create a case study for each industry that you target and focus on that.
Thank you so much. It's very, very insightful.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Anybody else? Sterling? Yay, Vernon.
Mitch, what's been the impact of the pandemic, everyone's working from home situation as it relates to the information you've shared with us? Does that question make sense to you?
Yeah, by and large, everybody's come back and refocusing on this now, because I think there was, you know, there's a big thing going around on LinkedIn right now about commute time even, and people are like so much cabin fever. They're like, when they used to go commute, they used to get out and then they would, you know, they would listen to radio in the car, listen to music. Now there's no commute. People are going crazy. So all the time they save commuting now, they're spending reading more, and they're starting to reevaluate their business and saying, hey, I have time now that I can kind of focus on figuring out how to grow my business even more, you know, and that's been a real big eye opener. But, you know, for small business standpoint of view, you know, our business is booming because small businesses have woken up, and the ones, you know, obviously restaurants are hurting, and we have a few restaurant customers, but they're really hurting right now. But there's a lot of industries that are not. We play in the precision machining industry. What are those guys? Well, they were all making ventilator parts out of titanium or stainless steel when the government had all the GM making all those ventilators. But that industry is booming. The pallet manufacturing business is booming. Why? Everybody's sitting at home. There's nothing to do. They're ordering on Amazon. So all the warehouse, logistics, supply chain, all that stuff is booming. So there's industries that are booming. And the ones that aren't, the people are waking up and going, you know what? I've got to prepare for post-COVID life, because I know the business is going to come back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start spending money now when all my competitors aren't, and I'm going to be ahead of the game when it comes. Because every time there's a downturn, you can steal market share. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people. The first line item they cut is the marketing. Why? It's easy. It's a big number, and it's easy. Just cut it out. That's the worst thing you could do. I'd cut out that Starbucks coffee 3 times a week and the muffin. I'd cut that out. I'd cut all that other stuff out and keep marketing. Why? It doesn't matter if you do it with us or somebody else. Keep marketing. No product is ever sold or service is ever sold until it's marketed. You know?
Wow.
There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did I answer your question, Vernon?
Yeah.